The first step to financial independence, retire early, aka FIRE, is debt management. See, we don't want to be rich, we want to be wealthy. Today's episode, we talk about getting wealthy. This wealth isn't about getting rich, it's about managing debt. When you manage debt, you get the benefit of being rich, but the accessibility to everyone. Welcome to Coach Dr. D's Classroom.
Class is now in session.
Today's episode, we're going to talk about the 4 key steps to financial success. Before I get into it, some of you may be a little confused. All 14 of you that listened last week, well, let me tell you, I did change the name. It is not Spitfire, regardless of how clever that may be. I'm changing to Coach Dr. D's Classroom. I want to talk about business. I love entrepreneurship. Definitely going to spend some time talking about that. Productivity, work and life hacks, so Coach Dr. D's Classroom, it's a good environment for that. Anyways, let's go ahead and start talking about the 4 steps to financial success. Now, I derived this from Dave Ramsey's 7 baby steps. We're talking about long-term wealth. Now, I reiterated the long-term. Why? Because I'm not in the business of get-rich-quick schemes. Anybody can cheat to the top, and I'm not about that life. Schemes, they're scams, they're fugazis, they're fugazis, they're watsies, there's a woodsies. Wolf of Wall Street. I'm talking about long-term wealth. Long-term wealth takes time. It takes effort. Those who have heard of compound interest are probably knowing where I'm going with this, but to put it simply, pun intended, right? Simple interest. To put it simply, time is money. So if we apply a lot of time, we should in turn receive a lot of bit of money. As long as we're putting our money where we should, that is. Now, I take a Dave Ramsey perspective. I teach it, I preach it, I believe it. I teach you everything you can learn, and you pick and choose what makes the most sense for you. Now, Dave Ramsey, I'm going to call him DR, he went bankrupt, right? And then he learned a super valuable life lesson, and now he is helping others to avoid that same mistake. You're going to learn DR from me, the Dr. DR. I teach an entire 4 months of personal finance every semester, and there's one word, one keyword to summarize the entire semester. You're going to save yourself 4 months of work and effort and money with this one word, and that word is coming after this commercial break. Oh, just kidding. We don't have sponsors. The one-word summary of personal finance is patience. To expand, I'm not saying don't spend money. I'm saying wait until you have the money before you spend money. Just spend money after you have money. I love spending money. It's the greatest thing about having money. But if you don't have money, you shouldn't be enjoying the fruits of your not labor. Am I right? Be patient. Stop trying to impress people around you. 1, if they're impressed with the stuff that you got instead of the stuff that you are, they aren't worth your time. 2, they probably won't be in your life forever. Who cares what they think? 3, you wouldn't care as much what people thought about you if you realized just how rarely they thought about you. I'm going to say that one more time just in case you're trying to type it on Twitter or Xer. You wouldn't care as much what people thought about you if you realized how rarely they think about you. Look, you want immediate gratification? Me too. Everyone does. But this is your moment. The moment you've been waiting for, it's happening right now, and I'm telling it to you. Grow up. Exercise some patience. Recognize every dollar that you spend a day pushes off your long-term financial goals exponentially. Okay? Say the phrase, it's not in my budget. Not, I can't afford it. It's not in my budget. All right, here we go. 4 steps to Dave Ramsey's financial success. Also, now, I did say that Dave Ramsey has 7. We're going to half that list. Also, number 2 and number 3 are switched. I like it better this way, so I'm going to teach it this way, all right? If you don't like it, then suck it. Number 1, first thing that we do, we need to save $1,000 in cash as an emergency fund. Okay? What do we do with that? We hide it in our safe. We put it in the back of a picture frame. We put it in a checking account that we never look at. Y'all, you don't even look at it. You don't acknowledge it's existent when you're calculating your net worth or how much money do I have. You don't even think about this money, okay? Except for emergencies. Number 2, a 3 to 6 month crisis fund. Here's the thing. Have you ever sat and wondered how many crises you've lived through? I'm talking national crises. Well, if you were born in 2000 or before, you would have lived through a 2020 pandemic, you would have lived through a 2008 recession, and 9/11, which are 3 national crises that impacted job markets, financial markets, the economy, and society at large. You could have lost your job in that moment. It has nothing to do with you. Now, what I've talked about is only national crises. I didn't even touch on personal crises, like you go to work tomorrow and you get fired. You're heading to work tomorrow and you get hit by a drunk driver. I assume you work in the mornings, and drunk drivers, you know what, there are drunk drivers in the morning, all right? And then what about somebody in your family gets ill? What if you get ill, right? There are all these personal crises that are also guaranteed to happen, in addition to national crises, which happen on an average of 8 to 10 years. It's inevitable. And we don't prepare for that. Why? We need to. That's step number 2. All right. Here's what we do. We have to calculate our average monthly spend. Maybe you got to track your budget for a couple months. Figure out how much you need on average for a month. We multiply that by 3 or 6 months, and we want to put that into a savings account, a money market account, a checking account, just something that is easily accessible. Now, I get it. Some of you nerds out there are like, man, you're not putting money into investment. You're wasting money. Inflation's going to ruin it. We are willing to accept the 3 to 5% loss on inflation for this small chunk of change in order to mitigate the inevitable crisis that will approach us one day. You can control your job, how you interact in a job. You can control how you drive and avoiding accidents and stuff. But a lot of these crises are out of our control, and yet they still happen to us. Okay? Me, I've been terminated thrice, and I'm awesome. You have an option here. You can either be a victim that goes into financial ruin with a very valid excuse, or you can be a victor who has a very valid excuse but overcomes it despite the same set of circumstances occurring. It's your choice. 3 months or 6 months? That's a fair question. Well, if you are pretty risk tolerant, you might do 3 months. If you're risk averse, you're probably going to do 6 months. All right? Here's the mindset. How long is it going to take me to replace my income if suddenly it was lost? A little pro tip, sidebar pro tip. While you're looking for a job, just go get any job. Go be a server for a little while. Get some income coming in, some money, so you aren't saying yes to the first job opportunity that comes your way. Anyways, first step, $1,000 emergency fund. Second step, 3 to 6 month crisis fund. Hey, Coach Dr. D, I got a question. Yes, what's up, you? Well, what happens if I spend my 3 to 6 month emergency fund? What do I do then? Replenish it. You spend your emergency fund, you spend your crisis fund, it doesn't matter. First priority that you have financially is to replenish it as fast as possible before you move on to the next step. Number 3. Now, I get it, y'all. We're running a little bit late, but I am a professor, and this is exactly what happens in class. Stick around. It's going to be on the exam. Number 3, eliminate all debt. Y'all, debt is the reason why we can't leave our job. It's why we can't accept a better job for a lower salary. It's why people go into financial ruin. It causes so much stress. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. The world tells you that you can buy stuff before you have the money, but it causes all these problems. It makes you desperate. It makes you have to take jobs that you would never take. Avoid it. Get rid of it. Well, okay, except for your mortgage. You can have your mortgage, all right? If you're debt-free, you have financial freedom. When you have freedom, there ain't nobody telling you how to spend your money. They ain't telling you how much money to make. They aren't telling you what to do with your money. You get the freedom to make as much as you want, doing whatever you want, and spending it on whatever you want. Pretty good life, right? Still want to be rich? We don't want to be rich. We just want to be wealthy. Being wealthy means no debt. Well, how do we get out of debt? We use the debt snowball. Most people think that you should pay all of your debts with the highest interest rates first. Listen, I get it, right? You don't want that interest to accrue. It's very logical, very reasonable. It's the wrong way, though. It's not the right way, okay? The right way is to create a snowball effect. Snowball effect creates a psychological, wherever your psychology is, it creates a psychological momentum, if you will. And that momentum will drive us to our next goal. It'll push us to smash through that goal onto the next one, the next, and the next. All right, so what do? You take all of your debts, you lay them out, and you pay the minimums on every single debt except for the smallest dollar amount, okay? We're not talking about smallest interest rate or highest interest rate. We're not talking about the highest dollar amount. We're talking about the smallest dollar amount. You pay the minimums on everything else, and you dump every extra penny that you have. I'm talking go couch diving to find some more pennies, and you dump it into your smallest debt. After you finish, what do I do now? I'm sure you know where I'm going with this. You take all that money, you bundle it in this, I'm using a circle to reiterate the snowball. You take all that money and you dump it into the next one, right? And now we're paying our minimum plus all this extra money, right? And then we pay that one off. And what do we do with this snowball? Well, we dump it into the next bigger one. And now we've got this giant snowball of cash monies that are just boom, boom, boom. Mike Tyson, UFC fighters, that other ones, right? Bah. Coincidentally, this is another pro tip. I'm going to lean to this side because I went to that side earlier. I'm going to go over here. Look, when you're doing to-do lists, you feel like you're overwhelmed by a ton of tasks and responsibilities you've got to do. First of all, if you don't have a to-do list, wake up call. Second of all, when you have your to-do list, order it in terms of easiest to most challenging and do the easiest first. Productivity tip 101. Same thing for your debts. Pay off all debts. That's number 3. So, $1,000 emergency fund, 3 to 6 month crisis fund, pay off all debts. What's the last thing that we do? Should be pretty obvious. We invest. All right? After we've done these first 3 things, and not before, but after we've done these first 3 things, now we can move on to number 4, which is invest. Dave Ramsey recommends that you invest 15% of your budget into retirement. Now, there's somebody out there that's like, whoa. So you're saying my company has a 3% company match. You're saying that instead of paying for my 3% company match, I need to do steps 1, 2, and 3 first? I'm giving away free money, Coach Dr. D. And I'm going to say, yes, student, that's exactly correct. I'm literally telling you, don't take advantage of your company 401k match. Take that money, put it in your emergency fund, put it in your crisis fund, then put it into debt, okay? Once we've done that, now we want to take 15% of our budget. 15% is a lot, but 15% is a really good goal. It's a really good number if you want to retire early. We want to max out our 401k. That company match is going to be really nice for that. We want to max out our Roth IRA next, okay? And after we do those 2 things, then we want to start taking that excess money and look into mutual funds or ETFs. We want to look at the index. Y'all, the market, if you've ever looked at the market over the past 100 years, I encourage you to do so. No matter what happens, what crisis hits, or how it spikes, it always goes up. So at the end of the day, if you don't close your account out, if you don't liquidate, you can't lose. So you just keep your money in there until it goes up. You're worried about market timing? Let me tell you, here's how you avoid it. Keep putting money into it. Put money into it on a regular basis. If you're putting money into it every single month, it doesn't matter if it goes down a month because then you're going to buy it at a cheaper price. And what's going to happen in a few months? It's going to go back up. So now all the money you had before is on the right path, and you've got a really neat discount, bought at a dip, you got a little extra funds in there, all right? That is the 4 steps. Now, is this the sexy way to wealth? No, I get it. I think it's sexy that I get to retire early. You got to start following these risk-averse strategies. And if you do, you can start building true wealth today. Oh, what's that? It's the metaphorical bell. You're dismissed. Hey, listen, thanks for listening to Coach Dr. D's Classroom Podcast, Episode 2. Let me know in the comments. I'm really curious. What would financial freedom change about your lifestyle right now? I want you to think critically about what your life could be if you didn't have to worry about debts. I'd love for you to because if you like it, it exposes to more people. If you share it, it exposes it to more people. If you follow it, you're guaranteeing that you won't miss next week's equally as incredible and inspiring episode. I'm your host, Coach Dr. D, and of course, stay in school.